Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish Podcast with Jim Hill. It's me, Len Testa, and this is our show for the week of Schmurz Day, May 10th, 2021. On the show today, I ride Universal Orlando's new Velocicoaster over Islands of Adventure, plus news and listener questions. And in our main segment, Jim continues the story of how characters from Disney's TV series have ended up in the parks, from Davy Crockett to The Mandalorian. Let's get started by bringing in the man who says that bees like flowers. So if you give someone flowers and they like them, that person is really a bunch of bees in disguise. It's Mr. Jim Hill. Jim, how's it going?
I am doing well. You mentioned bees, and I wanted to share my little insect friend, so I sent you a photo this morning. Do you want to describe
That's right. So Jim texted me a few minutes before we went on the show a picture of the largest wasp I've ever seen around somebody I know eating a piece of fruit at Jim's desk. And my first question to him was, Jim, is there an elderly scientist experimenting with dinosaur DNA somewhere near where you live? Because this thing looks big enough to actually pick up that piece of fruit and fly away with it.
It's a fairly sizable wasp, but this is the second year now that last year I began to have this wasp that would fly around my head every morning. And eventually I realized he would continue to annoy me until I fed him. So I would put down a fruit slice.
Who's trained whom in this scenario, Jim?
That's it exactly. I think they were talking to the cats. It's like, look, he's stupid. He'll feed you. But what concerned me, that went on for months, and then, the wasp had a finite life. And so he disappeared. And then suddenly, about a week ago, another wasp appeared and began flying around my head. And it's like, did the other wasp leave behind tiny documentation?
Yeah.
My one concern, though, Len, is I feel like at this point, I now need to start naming these things. And
right.
When it comes to wasps, the only appropriate name that comes to mind is, well, I mean, if you know Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it's either George or Martha. I'm not familiar enough with how to sex a wasp to go, all right, female, male, whatever.
It's good that you have pets, Jim. It keeps people young.
There we go. And unless, of course, it bites me and I die from, the beast.
Anaphylactic shock.
There we go.
My big concern here is if the wasps are getting bigger from year to year, at some point you're going to lose the ability to negotiate with them. The fruit simply won't be enough.
For now, we'll just keep an eye on them. So,
all right, good luck with that.
Yep.
All right, Jim, let's do a quick shout out to subscribers over at disneydish.bandcamp.com. Thanks to new subscribers TikTok Oz, Papa Jojo, Sean Crossman, and Dirk R. And longtime subscribers E.T. McCall, DJ ER25, and TNC Alexander. Jim, while working at Disney's Animal Kingdom one summer, these kids used theater makeup every day to change every zebra's body coloring from white with black stripes to black with white stripes, just to see the confused look on the Kilimanjaro Safari drivers' faces on the savannah every morning. True story.
It's nice to see art majors get work.
Exactly. You've got to hire the patrons of the art as well.
There we go.
All right, let's do the news. Folks, the Disney Dish News is brought to you by Storybook Destinations, trusted travel partner of the Disney Dish podcast. For a worry-free travel experience every time, book online at storybookdestinations.com. Jim, I'm sure you saw the news earlier this week about Universal Orlando has opened up previews to annual pass holders for its Velocicoaster over its Islands of Adventure. This is the new Jurassic World-themed roller coaster over in the Jurassic Park area of Islands of Adventure. What did you think of it?
You've been covering themed entertainment for too long when other people are moving, oh my God, it's such a smooth coaster and wonderful show scenes. And you're the one going, wow, that locker setup is really smart.
That's exactly it. Right. So I happened to catch the email from Universal that went out to annual pass holders, I think within 30 seconds of it being received, saying, sign up for the annual pass previews. And I got the first time slot on the first day it was open. So it was Sunday at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And you knew it was going to be popular, or I knew it was going to be popular when I went. I mean, I live like 20 minutes from Universal, right? Just down I-4. But sometimes I-4 is a hassle, and I haven't stayed at a Universal hotel in a couple months. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna book a room at Universal the night before, so I can just walk over, right? I don't have to get up like super early. I don't have to go park, all that stuff. And I went to look at Universal hotels for the night before the annual pass preview, and every single room on property was sold out. The only thing that was available was some like Rockstar suite at Hard Rock for $2,400 a night. So I'm like, okay, I'll drive. So I get there, I like leave the house at like 7:30, and I'm there and like standing in front of the gate at 8, and everything works flawlessly. Like the walk in, the security screening, all of it, absolutely no problem. Get over to Jurassic World, and it's clearly marked where the preview is. We have to show our annual pass and ID and the barcode and the email that we got showing the date and all that stuff, but all perfect. And to Universal's credit, they had scheduled relatively few people per hour. So I think the capacity of the ride, like if it's fully functioning and everything's going exactly right, is upwards of like 1,900 people an hour. And I got that from Seth Kubersky, who covers the Universal Orlando Resort for the Unofficial Guide. So, but in practice, like maybe 1,700 an hour. But I don't think Universal scheduled 1,700 annual pass holders for that first hour, because I walked on, and like you said, the locker setup there is the next generation of improvements on the locker experience at theme parks. So I think we all know that, especially at Universal's more wild coasters, the ones that fling you upside down or that have loops and things like that, you're not allowed to bring anything large in your pockets on the ride, because of the physical forces that are on your body will cause those things to come off and fly out. And I think, Jim, we talked about this once on the show. There was at least one incident where somebody got hit on a roller coaster with something that was flying out of somebody's hands or pockets. Or whatever, right? Yeah. And that's why they do it. It's a safety thing. Okay. And so for Universal, normally, as you're going through the ride, as you're boarding the ride, you deposit your stuff in a locker, and the lockers use your annual pass barcode to open and close. So you go through this one area, you stuff all your stuff in the locker, you continue through the line, and then when you're done, you have to go find the locker and scan it, basically do the same process in reverse. Well, Universal's changed that a little bit for Velocicoaster, because the front of the locker is as you walk through the queue, and the back of the locker is where you walk off the ride. So you don't have to find like this space, the same space again, and go through the same waiting process. They've essentially made it a two-sided locker with doors on the front and back. And you stuff your stuff through the front door on your way on the ride, and you grab your stuff from the locker from the backside on the way out. And we'll talk about the ride, which is fantastic. But in terms of technical innovations in the lockers and basically in like guest satisfaction around that aspect of the ride, it's a game changer. And I know it's relatively minor, but it's one of those things where you got to give credit to whoever went through the guest experience literally from start to finish and said, what could we improve here?
Yeah. And if you think about the locker space at Harry Potter and both the Escape from Gringotts or...
And I actually went and did that right after that just to compare the experiences.
Yeah. And just the notion that you have to return to the same space and you're competing against folks who are getting off the ride or about to get on.
It's a bottleneck, and you have to wait in lines again. And it's like, why do you have to wait in the second line after you've already been on the ride? Right? It holds you up. Yeah.
No, just
so that was fantastic.
Very, very smart.
And then the ride itself. So a couple of interesting things about the ride. One is the seat system on the ride does not contain lap bars or shoulder restraints. So like on Hulk, for example, or on Harry Potter rides, there are things that come down over your shoulders that hold you in place. For this, it's actually a restraint system that fits around your hips. So imagine like cups, like a large set of cups that sit over your hips. And I knew that was what the restraint system was. What I didn't realize was when I pulled down the restraint on my hips, I thought it was fairly snug. And then a gentleman who I believe, I have to confirm this, plays nose tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, came and sat on the hip restraints to the point where I both said, "Oh," and "Sir, I believe you owe me a drink." Like, where's my voucher? Right?
Wow.
Okay. At least here's my number. Call me maybe. I don't know. It was that snug, right? But the point was, I was not leaving that restraint until the car was back in the station. And the advantage of that is that your hands are free to wave around or to flop around, in my case, during the ride's G-force inducing loops and stuff like that. So a couple of things about the ride. It is the smoothest roller coaster I've ever been on. It is like, I think Hulk is a very good roller coaster. My complaint with Hulk is that the physical forces on your body move your head around.
Yes.
And for me, like it bangs my head on the head restraints. Right?
Same thing here. Yeah.
Yeah. And for that reason, I don't like it. And there are a lot of rides around the world, roller coaster rides that I've been on. Cyclops at Thorpe Park in Great Britain, right? You're just spinning around so much and your head is bopping back and forth that it actually hurts and it takes away from the experience. Oh, yeah. This is absolutely not the case. So again, going back to whoever designed this ride understood the physics of how your head was going to react to all of these turns. And it's the most pleasant, fast, and intense roller coaster I've ever been on.
What?
Like, I was able to enjoy the entire experience. It wasn't terrifying. Like the first couple times I went on Hulk, I kept my eyes closed like I was a 12-year-old, right? Because it was that scary, right? This is just as intense, but because the ride is physically more pleasant, it's easier to enjoy it. Like the views on it are incredible. The other thing that I really liked about the ride is, Universal's more limited for space in its theme parks than Disney is, right? Sure. But Universal here has maximized the footprint, its use of physical space for the ride, in that most of the ride, or much of the ride, is over water, right? So they didn't just need land to build the ride. So you go over water, and that really makes the views and the experience much more interesting. Because, you can see yourself spiraling down towards the lake. You're like, where's this going to end? The other thing is they have so there's this, imagine a hill that you're cresting and you sort of have a little flat section where you're on top. It's called a high hat or a hat, right? On the top hat in roller coaster jargon. And I was talking to Seth about this. I was like, I'm pretty sure I could see my house in Celebration from the top of this. And Seth was like, you saw your house? I saw God. All right, Seth, you win that one.
Okay, there we go. Kabrisky for the win. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but you hang up there for just enough, and then you go down. It's like straight down, screaming, what's happening? And it was, the other interesting thing is about halfway through the ride is normally where things slow down and you get mechanically lifted up another ride hill. And it's time for you to catch your breath and reset for the next thing. Here, where you would expect the pause to reset, it accelerates into the second half of the ride, completely unexpected. But again, so smooth and so controlled that you just take a deep breath and be like, okay, well, I'm going to start screaming again now. It was amazing. I loved it. I thought, it's the best ride that Universal's done. I think it's the best roller coaster and I haven't been on that many, like maybe 50 or so. Best roller coaster I've ever been on. I would totally have gone on it again if I was allowed. It's a winner. And I think that the team, whoever worked on this, the team that worked on it, just did a great job again, not only from the ride experience, but from the operational aspects of it. So I got off the ride, found my locker, scanned my annual pass, got my stuff, and I was done. Literally, I was there and back, door to door in my house in under 2 hours.
Jeez.
Which, when you think for a theme park experience, and by the way, that included going over to the Harry Potter ride to Wizarding World, and also I attempted to get on Hagrid's, but it was broken down literally for the third time that I've been there. I am now 0 for 3 in trying to ride Hagrid's because the ride is completely down every time I've tried. Wow. So, Universal Media, if you're listening to this, you can either not invite me to things, all right, and keep things sort of going, or if you want to set up something special where I just show up one night, I'm good with that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but a fantastic ride. If you guys, anybody's coming to Orlando, if you like roller coasters, I would do a separate day at Universal and just catch Hagrid's Velocicoaster and the Harry Potter stuff, and that's worth the price of admission. It's that good.
Very cool. Wow. That's high
also,
praise.
I need to point this out, that the existence of Velocicoaster implies the existence of both a speedy coaster and a timey coaster as well, because of course velocity is speed.
Wow. Okay. For all you linguists out there, hey, we keep the jokes coming. Okay, cool. So
a couple of other things. So Disney announced recently, Jim, the end of temperature checks for cast members and guests as of May 16th. I think Universal is doing the same thing.
the universal temperature check may be gone as of today.
It was
May
fairly
6th. Yeah.
Yeah. The other news that was announced yesterday, and I think a lot of people were looking forward to, was the return of Halloween-themed events for the Magic Kingdom starting this summer. Now, it's not the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, right? They're not using that name anymore. And they specifically call it a Disney After Hours event, and it's called the Disney After Hours Boo Bash, right?
Right.
So what is it?
It's more a case of what it isn't. It's not a 5-hour long event. For example, it's not the Mickey's Not So Scary where, it's supposed to start at 7 and end at midnight, and guests who had tickets to this hard ticket event could get it in as early as 4. It's a 3-hour event, which is very much in line with what the other Disney After Hours events have been.
Yep.
It's also the language that's in there about Halloween-themed cavalcades.
Yeah, so no parade.
No parade. Likewise, they talk about, how there will be character sightings throughout the park and special performances by the Cadaver Dans.
Decor, lighting, music, treat stops with plenty of candy, and so much more. So no character meet and greets.
Yeah, and also we just got, prior to this event getting canceled in 2020, that in 2019 they introduced that the Disney Not So Scary Spectacular Fireworks. So that's not happening. Likewise, there is no mention of the Hocus Pocus Villains Spectacular.
And that goes back a number of years, right?
2015, I want to say it was when it was
Eons
introduced.
ago, Jim. Eons.
Oh, there we go.
This time immemorial, i.e. 2015.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Well, the other thing too, right, is the hours are different, right? After hours events are 3 hours long. So before, the Not So Scary Halloween party was 7 to midnight, right? And you could get in, at 4?
Yeah. There's actually a note in here to the effect of there's at least a couple of these that are being held in August and September.
A couple. Yeah.
They're warning folks, it's like, this isn't going to start till 9:30.
And run till 12:30 a.m.
Yeah. Now, the company really, really, really wanted to bring back a Halloween event. It's an incredible revenue stream. And in fact, the range of dates that they mentioned, August 10th through
October 31st. Yeah.
If you go back to the 2020 event that was planned and got canceled, that was supposed to run through August 13th through November 1st. So it's actually pretty much lines up with that range of dates. Question now is, are they going to do the 36 dates?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't doubt it for a second that they're going to do as many as humanly possible. And let's put it this way. If they don't do 30, I'll be shocked.
Okay.
The big question I have is, without the parade, without the fireworks, without the spectacular, with the cut down hours, how much are prices going to be reduced, if at all? And we don't know. We won't know that till next week.
No, we won't. But the range of prices for the 2024 event, if you bought a ticket for August at the earliest possible time, $94, I want to say.
Yeah, like 90 bucks. Nah, it was closer to, no, it was more than that. It was like 95, 96 with change, right? With tax.
And then if you wanted to actually be in the park the night of Halloween, October 31st, that was
160-ish.
Yeah. So it is going to be interesting with those things off the table to see what Disney Parks is looking for.
My guess is the average prices could be somewhere in the middle of that. It's going to be in the $130 range.
Okay.
We'll see.
So much of the language for this is vague at this point. They talk about, for example, the guest experience is meant to offer low wait times at more than 20 attractions at the park. And Len, that when the place is at full operation, 33 ride shows and attractions.
Depends on what you define, but yeah, I mean it's anywhere from mid 30s to low 40s, depending on what you consider an attraction. But yeah, more than 20 attractions is basically that's what the park is running at right now. Yeah,
they've certainly left themselves enough wiggle room, but the notion of the mid-August start and the early November end, it's one of these things where it's like they're going for the exact same range of dates as Mickey's Not So Scary.
Oh yeah, definitely. The other thing that they said I thought that was interesting was that the same rules apply. Kids can wear costumes. Adults cannot wear masks, but facial coverings for COVID are still required at this time. So, I mean, we're going in saying, okay, everyone's wearing the surgical masks, or the COVID masks, and adults cannot wear costumes with masks.
What's also intriguing about this is that when this was announced,
halfway to Halloween, yeah.
There we go. Those sorts of announcements started last week with the Disney Channel hyping its new animated series, The Ghost and Molly McGee, which won't debut till October, but a wonderful title scene. Definitely chase it down, folks. But the big news that broke today is, in addition to the Boo Bash Disney After Hours, we just found out that we're getting a Muppet Halloween special.
And it's called what, Jim?
It's called The Muppets Haunted Mansion.
Okay, so let me pause here and say, if they actually do a Muppets overlay of Haunted Mansion in the Magic Kingdom, I will take back every bad thing I've ever said about Disney management in the history of ever. I will rend garments and gnash teeth in my repentance if we can get that.
A friend in entertainment who was explaining to me about how the Muppets present great moments in history had moved from a daily thing to a seasonal, when it got very, very crowded type show. For the 50th anniversary, Disney had gotten past the point of show proposals to actual writing of 2 scripts for seasonal shows for the Muppets to present in the old Liberty Square setup. One version, which would be presented again in the Halloween, August to November timeframe, they were supposed to do the Legend of Ichabod Crane. All of them in the windows, all of them doing the... And then there would be a slight several-day pause as they changed out the new show. And then supposedly the next Muppet presentation was supposed to be Clement Seymour's A Visit from St. Nicholas.
Oh. I mean, both of those you could do as plays in that space, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the thinking. But like so many things that were proposed for the 50th, that's now off the table as the parks concentrated, just getting back up to full capacity and staffing and that sort of thing. But those got far enough along that I guess they budgeted them. They talked about costumes and that sort of thing. So could happen in the future.
I would imagine that there's more than one Disney Imagineer who in their spare time has written those scripts and is just sitting around like, this is what I do. This is my hobby now. Like I write Muppet fanfic.
Brian Henson actually did an interview with a TV Guide in 1991.
I was going to say, as soon as you said TV Guide, I said, what year of the 90s was it?
But he was talking about, we're definitely looking at bringing the classic Muppet characters back to television. And one of the things we're looking at is doing a Halloween special. And that got tabled. But when Disney bought the Muppets in February of 2004, as early as 2009, word came out that they were circling back on this idea. They were looking at the Halloween special. In fact, it actually got talked about at the first D23 Expo in September 2009.
Really?
Yep. It got far enough along. They had concept art. They had sussed it out. But then corporate thinking changed. And the thinking was, why are we doing a TV special? We need to get a new feature going. And that's what we got, the Muppets movie that came out in November of 2011. So more than a decade later, here we are back to talking about the Halloween special. But
so what's the gist of the Halloween special? Have they given us a plot or a?
Basically, Gonzo is challenged to spend a night in the Haunted Mansion. And for ease of production, this is going to be the California Haunted Mansion.
Of course, the second most popular Haunted Mansion, because as we talked about in a previous show, Imagineers only understand Disneyland. Got it.
There we go. Okay. There we go. I'm still trying to get confirmed if they're going to do Haunted Mansion Holiday this year. But all I've been hearing from the folks in Muppet Studios is they plan on shooting the on-location stuff in the park in August. This is on Disney Plus, though the plan is that it will eventually be repurposed for both Freeform and ABC. But yeah, drops in October of this year.
I am super looking forward to this.
So am I.
Also, Jim, Disney announced the return of some more dining venues. Mm-hmm. So Cape May Cafe opens May 18th. No characters, serving breakfast and dinner, and it's family style instead of a buffet. And I think that's interesting because the Yacht and Beach Club are not among the most popular deluxe resorts. So the idea that dining is coming back there, especially this dining opportunity, shows that there's good enough demand for those resorts. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that's coming up in May 16th, to be exact, is the return of Chef Mickey's dinner. So this upcoming Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how that's going to work with the renovations that are happening at the rest of Disney. Also, the Wave is also being shut down for some, I think, an extensive summer refurbishment. My sense is that'll also be sort of rethemed to The Incredibles as well. So the return of dinner at Chef Mickey's makes sense.
No, it does. I'm intrigued that given that Cape May, the characters were such a big part of that. They're at least starting off without characters.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then I think my favorite of these announcements is that dining is returning to Tusker House in the Animal Kingdom later this summer. So summer begins June 21st, so sometime after that. It'll be family style instead of the walk-up buffet with distance characters, but at least Disney's bringing the characters back. And I think the characters were always somewhat distanced anyway at Tusker House. I mean, yeah, they walked around the individual rooms and you could get photos with them. So maybe they weren't distanced. Never mind what I was saying. Yeah. Also, interestingly, Disney has put out, Jim, did you see this? Hiring announcements for cast member actors for the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. So actors and stunt people. Did you see this?
Yes. For me, what's fascinating is the very, very specific roles and then the very, very vague roles. So
Right. So let's go through the roles here real quick. And thanks to our friends over at wdwmagic.com for posting this. The job posting says, during the Star Wars experience, a variety of adventures befall the ship, and onboard characters find themselves caught in the intrigue of a galactic conflict. This company of actors will portray characters from a vast and diverse galaxy and will actively engage with passengers as much as with other performers. Every character will be leveraged for improvisational, scripted, and interactive moments. And here are the roles that they're currently looking for right now. The first one is Rey, who is 5'6" to 5'8". And the description is a dynamic and athletic actor with an athletic, slender build and strong improvisational abilities to portray Rey. Rey is a survivor, toughened by her life as a scavenger on the harsh desert planet of Jakku. Despite dismissing herself as a no one, she learns that her life is being shaped by the mysterious power of the Force. Actors with prior experience or knowledge in stage combat, wushu, martial arts, or hand-to-hand are encouraged to attend. I would pay money to watch these editions right now, Jim. I'm just saying right now. By the way, this is the first time we know that which characters, specific characters, are going to be on the Starcruiser. So we had no idea, I think, before this, that there would be Rey, like an actual character we knew from the movies. Okay, so the next one is Kylo Ren, 6 foot to 6'2" tall, a dynamic and athletic actor with improvisational abilities to portray Kylo Ren, a menacing, force-sensitive warrior. Kylo is driven by his connection to the dark side to achieve his ultimate goal of galactic domination. Actors with prior experience or knowledge in stage combat, wushu, martial arts, or hand-to-hand are encouraged to attend. And so there are a few other ones. There's a captain who is a mature commanding actor with strong improvisational abilities to portray the Halcyon's captain. She's a worldly Pantoran, 40s to 50s, with a rich, diverse history and dedication to her vocation. There's a cruise director.
Before we slide on here, a Pantoran, by the way, is a blue-skinned near-human native to the moon Pantora. For those of you who remember George...
Wait, blue and Pantora? I mean, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, Jim.
I want to stress here that anybody who remembers George Lucas's cameo in the prequels, this is the paint job we're looking at. So,
all right.
Some poor actor every morning is evidently the blue milk that's not unsold over in Batu, they're going to throw this guy into.
How long until we call this person Captain Smurf?
Bye.
So I'm never going to get a media invite, Jim. All right.
Right,
the next one is cruise director, seeking an effervescent actor with strong improvisational abilities to portray the Halcyon's cruise director. She's a human in her 30s with the capacity to learn that life is about more than the fun of the moment and draws inspiration from the efforts she sees being made to bring harmony and justice to the galaxy. A born cruise director who loves travel and adventure, she's a cheerful and harmonious people person. Has anyone checked to see whether Lauren Taves is interested?
Hello, I'm Julie, your blue clues.
That's right. Thank you. The next one is ship mechanic. A friendly and engaging actor with strong improvisational abilities to portray the mechanic. A youthful, late teens or 20s, human with big dreams. His enthusiasm sometimes outpaces his capabilities, and as a result, he tries to present a braggadocious front to mask the vulnerability of being far from home. That could be you or I could do that, Jim. Right? Except for the late teens, 20s thing, right? Like we don't know what we're doing, but we pretend, right?
I don't know if you've seen the piece of concept art where it's guest and this character basically behind the scenes, sort of like grab a wrench, fix that pipe. Remember in the early Star Trek when they used to show Scotty sort of squeezed into a vent, I've given her all she got, Captain, that sort of thing. Problem is, in much the same case as Jimmy Doohan, who, like me, put on a few pounds as they get older, you can only make the vent so big.
Soon the vent is the size of a room, and you've got stage prop problems at that point.
There you go. So,
all right, the next one is the Fixer, a confident and engaging actor, again with strong improvisational abilities. To portray the Fixer, character portrayed is a well-traveled, devil-may-care human in his 40s. A convincing and handsome schemer, he uses his charm to his advantage as he seeks out associates to enlist in his criminal enterprise. His calculated and conniving approach is an intellectual dance, a paso doble that leaves passengers wondering, was he the bull or the matador? Actors with sleight of hand tricks a plus and are encouraged to prepare a demonstration of abilities. So as soon as I saw this, I wrote to our friend Chris Cox, the magician, in the UK. I'm like, Chris, you've got to make it over here somehow. Smuggle yourself in a box. You've got to try out for this particular role. And so I totally think Chris should do this.
I don't know, total. And, the weird thing of it is if you think back over your Disney theme park history, the Golden Horseshoe for years was willing to pay Wally Bogue's salary because he was this masterful entertainer and so fit the role of, the traveling salesman and all that. And it just, if you're going to do the Galactic Starcruiser, you need a star.
Oh, I think the Fixer's going to be the star.
Yeah.
I definitely think so.
Yes, again, Chris, big box, air holes, get here now.
Yeah. So a couple of the other ones we'll just summarize. First Order Lieutenant, who is an ambitious officer of the First Order, new to his position of power, and is working hard not to let us know that. He doesn't see a line between abusing and leveraging power.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. All right. The next one is Saber Trainer, and so this is, Jim, where they're showing off the lightsaber. You saw that in the social media stuff, right? Yep. This is going to be, I think, a key role. Seeking warm and engaging athletic actors with improvisational abilities to serve as saber trainers. Character portrayed is in their 20s or 30s, patient and well-composed instructors. Saber trainers serve as expert wielders of the lightsaber, and they take cruisers through a physical demonstration. Prior sword or saber experience a plus, as the role requires the ability to confidently brandish a lightsaber. Only talent local to the Central Florida area will be considered. So, super important there. Also, I don't know of a single person other than Daisy Ridley and maybe Ben Kenobi. Who was Ben Kenobi? Sir Alec Guinness, who's dead, right? Who actually has the ability to confidently brandish a lightsaber. Like the number of people on the planet Earth who can confidently brandish a lightsaber is 2 or 3 right now, right? There may be some training involved in that, that's what I'm saying.
Cannot wait. Holy cow.
And then first-time cruisers. This is where they get into sort of like the comedic part of it. A youthful and friendly actor, guitarist, singer with strong improvisational acting abilities to portray the first-time cruiser. Character portrayed is a Togrutan?
Yes, this is a sentient humanoid species characterized by their colorful skin tones, large montrals. Those are the dangling, almost snake-like pieces along with their head tails, and white facial pigment. So again, this is another one of these, you show up to work an hour and a half before your shift because you need to be made up.
So this character aspires to be more than, quote, the alien next door. This hopeless romantic is a friendly and earnest musician who happily serenades his fellow guests as he aspires to impress the Galactic superstar. It's another character we'll talk about in a second. He's a strong rhythm guitarist and a happy-go-lucky, easygoing musical style. A struggling singer-songwriter looking for his big break, vocal range low C to high A, low tenor, high baritone. I envision here, Jim, the Star Wars equivalent of Smelly Cat. If we could do that one day, I would
Okay.
consider my $6,000 or whatever this thing costs well spent.
Okay.
Smelly tauntaun.
Then,
Smelly tauntaun.
All right.
What are they feeding you? Anyway,
Okay.
the last one, Galactic Superstar, seeking an actor vocalist with strong improvisational abilities to portray our galactic superstar. Character portrayed is a Twi'lek. Is that right, Jim?
Yes, and again, a tall, near-human species whose most striking feature is a pair of long appendages protruding from the skull called leku. So we've actually seen this species a number of times in Star Wars Rebels and the like.
Was there one in The Mandalorian?
I want to say yes.
I thought so. Okay.
But I want to say only featured in 1 or 2 episodes.
Okay, fair enough. So the Galactic Superstar commands respect and flame roses at her feet, operating in a legally dubious world of galactic intrigue while fighting for her race's integrity and freedom. She's also a phenomenally soulful singer who demands focus in every conversation and performance alike. Her vocal range is preferably that of a mezzo-soprano, and her musical style is a hybrid of neo-soul, jazzy, funk, colored by her extensive travel and experiences. Wow, that's going to be... I mean, I can picture this, and it sounds great, right? Yeah. So those are the roles so far.
Yeah, but the other piece of info that got dropped in addition to this audition information is Star Wars Intergalactic Cruiser not opening till 2022. So
Right, so I was going to talk about that next. But they're hiring now.
Right.
So you figure, give it the month of May for people to sign up. That means that they're going to take 7 months or more to train these people for these roles, which tells you how in-depth and complicated this whole thing is going to be, right? Because again, it's 2 days of live action role playing for many hours, for many guests, constantly.
if you think about the Fixer, he is going to be the one introducing a lot of the story elements that guests then would board the shuttle off of the Halcyon, head down to the surface of Batuu, and begin their adventure. It's like, I got this thing for you to do. If you could meet a friend of mine. And it's not just the stuff that needs to be done on the ship and training people to do that. It's then in turn incorporating this material into the existing Galaxy's Edge in such a way that the guests,
the narrative,
yeah, but at the same time, remember, it's got to be done in such a way that the day guests don't feel like they're being shorted. Like, how come you get to talk to the cool guy? And I don't.
Well, so the other interesting thing is this. Remember a couple years ago, Disney Research, the academic arm, if you will, of Disney Corporation, put out a paper where they described the algorithm that they had created to solve the problem of scheduling hundreds of people doing live action role-playing adventures in a single space, right? Because, you've got... In the Galactic Starcruiser, you're going to have, like, let's say 12 or 24 interesting rooms with props and things set up, right? But you've got potentially hundreds of people who need access to those rooms. So it becomes a scheduling problem of figuring out where in the story everyone is, and because of that, what rooms they need access to. And I think, as we said at the time, to preserve the integrity of the experience, what you don't want is to have 15 people all lined up to fight Darth Vader next, right? Because you don't, that's the thing, it's exactly the thing you don't want. It takes you out of the experience. So one of the things that they mentioned in this research paper was that you would need the ability to send people on side quests related but not integral to their experience, as a way of managing the time at which they arrived at those limited number of rooms to do the key component activity of their event, right? So if you have to battle Kylo Ren in some sort of ultimate lightsaber duel, right? And you have to do that at 4:00, but you don't have anything to do from 3:30 to 4. The Fixer is going to be the guy who says, hey, you know what? We can make some galactic credits if you just go to this bar and find the guy who knows this particular piece of information, right? And that will take the half an hour.
Yeah, just the variables. Think about, this is Florida
we're
talking about.
Well, that's why I thought Chris would be great, because, I mean, you got to think on your feet.
Oh, absolutely. But at the same time, Florida, the notion of you step off the shuttle and the 3:00 monsoon is started.
Why is it raining in the Galactic Starcruiser? This is very strange. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I thought that like of all of the characters that are here, I mean, obviously, Kylo Ren and Rey are going to be the stars, and the Galactic Superstar are going to be important. But the Fixer is going to be integral to everybody's experience, and I think that's going to be the key role there.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to interact with the Fixer multiple times.
And again, his name is Chris Cox.
Yeah. All right, Jim, we got time for a couple of listener questions. A quick one, a follow-up on an email from last week from Erin. Remember, she had asked about whether anyone else was getting My Disney Experience PhotoPass photos of other families and other people in their MD account. And so we asked people to write in with that, and dozens of you wrote in to say, yeah, I didn't know I had this extended family. It's some version of, Disney meets Maury Povich. What? I have a sister.
You are not the person who's paying for this vacation.
Exactly. And funnily enough, it happened to me. I was testing touring plans in the Magic Kingdom on Saturday. And when I got the notification in MDE that I had a new photo on PhotoPass, I opened up the app and realized that I had become an older African-American gentleman. I was like, wow, they really see inside you. Like, they know my soul.
Wow.
That's what those photos do. Yeah.
That's a unique skill, Len. So.
it really happens. So, all right. And then one new listener question this week. It's from Emily in Iowa, who says, we're heading to Walt Disney World in a few months, and I've been trying like crazy to get a Chef Mickey's reservation to celebrate my son's 5th birthday. No luck so far, and since COVID began, I've noticed the Join the Walk-Up List option on the My Disney Experience app. What are the nuances of using this feature? Is it available to off-property guests? Any thoughts on how likely it is that we would get a table? In addition to my 5-year-old, we'll be bringing Dad, his 3 brothers, and Grandma, and want to make sure that if we venture out before our Epcot day, there's actually a chance we get to eat there. So a couple of things. Number one, keep trying to get a reservation, because that's going to be your best bet. The other thing I would say is, if you're going to Epcot and you want to try getting into Chef Mickey's early, I would show up 15 minutes before the restaurant actually opens if you can't get a reservation. And there are going to be 2 tricks there, 2 things you've got to sort of like get past. One is you have to get past the security guard without a reservation. So that's going to be tricky in and of itself. But let's say, Emily, we can tell from your writing that you are a smooth talker and you can get your way in. So then what I would say is 15 minutes or so before Chef Mickey opens up, I would walk up and ask if you could fit in. The difficulty there, besides the fact that they're probably already booked, is that there are 7 of you, and that's a relatively large number for them to fit in at once. But if it's going to work without an advanced reservation, that's how it's going to work.
Can I also suggest getting some glycerin to place in the eyes of the 5-year-old?
Exactly. Tears.
Have I pointed to the weeping child? Oh, mother, my life is ruined.
The other thing is that if you can't do morning, and I'm assuming here that Epcot is going to open early and you can get done, you could try the dinner thing that we just talked about. So that's a secondary option.
There you go.
Emily's second question is this. The same trip actually involves a group of 19, 12 adults and 7 kids. Apparently, Emily is applying for sainthood on this trip.
Yes.
I've been planning and studying, but any extra thoughts on how to navigate this large of a group through the parks together would be helpful. So I've done large groups like this a couple of times. My advice is don't try and move everybody into lockstep from ride to ride, day to day. What I would say is, pick out a few things that you think everybody should do together, right? So like maybe everybody wants to ride It's a Small World together, or everybody wants to eat lunch together, or everybody wants to take a break together. But I wouldn't plan, or would I expect that large of a group to stay entirely together at the same time. You'd either spend most of your time deliberating what to do next, or just simply moving from ride to ride, with 3 different bathroom breaks in between, right? It's very difficult to do. Yeah. So I wouldn't stress out about that. I would say, agree in advance on what the key things are that you want to do. Maybe you all want to get to the park at the same time. Maybe you don't, but, agree on let's eat lunch together. And then after lunch, let's go on Buzz Lightyear to get together to see who has the highest score. I would do stuff like that. I would not stress about everyone trying to be together and be happy all the time.
No. Pick 3 and 4 tent poles per day, big things. And I get the togetherness thing. I especially post-COVID. But, also it's Florida. It's 1,200 degrees, 1,000,000% humidity. You're going to get annoyed with each other 5 minutes after you get into the park.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, somebody's going to be the first person to say, I'd rather go back to the house and take a dip in the pool, right?
Yeah,
and so you should be able to let them do that.
Mm-hmm.
You got enough adults and enough kids where you can make that happen.
Yeah.
By the way, you mentioned that it's how hard it is. It was 95 on Saturday when I was at the Magic Kingdom.
Oh my God.
It was like summer's here. It's been here for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing is, like earlier this month, or late April, the humidity hadn't quite arrived yet, but you could feel it every day getting a little bit more intense. And now the humidity is here too. Yeah.
Speaking of which, did you see the piece that Carly Wiesel did for the New York Times about what she packs for the parks?
No, I didn't see it. Oh, that's good. I like Carly.
It's this amazing article where she talks about her little backpack that she has her aluminum bottle that keeps water cold because her feet get wet. She has little booties she can put on top of her shoes. She has a poncho in there. But it's the whole notion of how one packs for a theme park where it will be 95 and humid at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then it will be 40 degrees after 6 o'clock at night, and what you need to be able to wear to stay for a full day in the park. No, definitely a piece worth chasing down. She's a real pro.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I love Carly. Is it generally, like when I talk to people about that kind of approach where it's going to be like 95 during the day and humid and then cooler at night, people generally have one of two philosophies. Either industrial strength deodorant to the point where like you simply open the cap and everyone's nose within a 5-foot radius goes numb, or no deodorant at all, saying, why bother? What did Carly go with on that?
Carly, when she started off, stressed the importance of phone batteries. The whole notion, in fact, to circle back to this giant group that steps away, in theory and does
phone
so,
batteries.
You need a way to be able to communicate with these folks who go off for 3 or 4 hours at a time and then regroup, just in case plans change or there's a weather-related thing or the ride you want to get on suddenly shuts down. And she was talking about, this is the cord I use because I can, I can usually find something that fits this, or these are the sets of batteries. I mean, you do have to pack and thoughtfully before heading out to a park.
That's a good point. So on the, with 19 people, 12 adults and 7 kids, I would say that there should be at least 12, if not more, fairly substantial cell phone charger batteries. And given the variety of people you've got there, I would include pretty much every sort of cable that you could have. Like literally, if you needed to connect, a Betamax VCR to like your like a toilet Y water pipe. Like you should find one of those and just put it in your bag just in case. You never know.
Ironically, I was just at the hardware store looking for the exact same connection. I've got so much stuff on beta. I don't want to talk about it.
Exactly. Finally, Emily says, here's the last comment. A couple weeks ago, there was a listener question about how people were using the FastPass lane at rides. I listened carefully and don't think I heard you mention Rider Switch. This made me nervous for the aforementioned group of 19, since it's a key part of our plan. And I checked, and Rider Switch is still happening. And I really appreciate that Touring Plans, the app, takes into account the creation of a custom plan. I thought other listeners might want to know. So thank you very much, Emily. That was correct. I think we missed that in the original note. But yeah, definitely, you can still do Rider Switch, and it works the same way as before. So thank you for that letter. That was awesome. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Jim continues the story of how characters from Disney's TV series have ended up in the parks, from Zorro to The Mandalorian. We'll be right back.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor, asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
Dripping in gold? That's cool. Dripping in Velveeta's supremely creamy golden cheesiness? That's respect. Elevate your drip with Velveeta's range of outrageously delicious dips and dishes. Shells, cheese, melty blocks, and heat and eat queso that go all in on indulgence. Flex on your fam with a creamy, cheesy masterpiece and go all in on what you love with Velveeta. Respect the drip and satisfy your cravings. Bring home the drip with Velveeta.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. when suddenly one who shouted, "Walmart has what you want," knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and no prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as who's often do, cheering and shouting, "Walmart has incredible gifts." Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
All right, Jim, we left off last episode sometime on the American frontier. I believe we were talking about Davy Crockett?
We were.
Okay.
We left off exactly. It was 1957. Fess Parker is walking away for Walt Disney Productions. He had a 7-year contract that he had with the company. And meanwhile, ABC is leaning heavily on Walt, insisting that he come up with another sort of Davy Crockett-sized hit, which could then air in the weekly Disney TV series.
And Walt had gone back to them and said, right, you can't top pigs with pigs.
No, you can't. You can't. But at the same time, it was concerning to ABC to be watching Gay Fess Parker go out the door. And
right.
He still thought when he's leaving Disney that Walt Disney was a genius. But Walt didn't have all that much experience when it came to stars that weren't animated. Fess Parker was the very first adult actor that Walt Disney ever placed under contract. Prior to that, the only 2 actors he placed under contract were Bobby Driscoll and Luann Patton, who had been the child stars of Song of the South back in 46. And I'm not saying that Fess Parker was under contract to Walt Disney Productions. He was under contract to Walt Disney himself. And that's where the trouble starts, because there's language in Fess's personal employment contract that then allows him to accept outside employment, as in other acting gigs from studios other than Disney, who, are offering roles, but only if Walt is okay with these outside roles that Fess is being offered. And the problem is Walt has kind of a narrow view of what sort of roles Fess should be playing. So this is the fall of 55. And Disney and Fess Parker are down in Georgia getting ready to shoot the great locomotive chase. And Walt shows up at the hotel to collect Fess and his co-star Jeffrey Hunter, and he's going to drive them over to the set. So Walt's driving the car, and these 2 actors are getting to know each other before they've been working together. And Jeffrey starts talking about the movie he just finished working on, which was John Ford's The Searchers.
The Searchers was my dad's favorite film.
Was it really?
Honest to God.
Okay.
I know people like in my life who that film has had such a powerful impact on that they named their firstborn son Ethan.
Oh, really? Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Jeff's in the car with Fess and Walt, and the topic of the Searchers comes up, and Hunter starts to, talk about what it was like to work with John Wayne and Natalie Wood, and it's Disney's driving. He turns to Fess and goes, "Oh, by the way, you were up for that part." Fess is like, "What part?" And Walt, as he's driving, goes, "Well, explains that John Ford had reached out to him, and that Ford had wanted Fess to play."
Jeffrey Hunter was the young kid on this, right? He was the sidekick to
Martin Pauly, the adopted nephew. Now, mind you, the movie hasn't come out yet. This is still 55. But Fess is hearing this for the first time in the car with Jeffrey, to the effect of, "Yeah, that came through, and I read the script, and I didn't think it was right for you." And this isn't the only time this happens in 55. In that very same window of time, 20th Century Fox acquires the rights to William Inge's Bus Stop, and they're prepping it at that studio as a vehicle for Marilyn Monroe.
So Walt says, "Oh, by the way, you were up for the part in The Searchers, right? Martin Pauly, right?"
Yeah, Martin Pauly.
Out of the way, Martin.
There we go.
No, you don't, Ethan. No, you don't. Right? That clip from the Great Movie Ride, right?
Yeah. Just, but it turns out he's also up for Beauregard Decker in Bus Stop, and this is the role that ultimately goes to John Murray. And it's just into Fess's way of thinking. The fact that he lost out on Bus Stop and he lost out on Searchers, because this is how Walt, it's like, look, you're a Disney leading man. In Bus Stop, you're going to be hanging out with that blonde bombshell Marilyn Monroe, and I don't know that.
It wouldn't be family appropriate, right? Nobody's going to come see you in a Disney family film after that, right? Man.
And you zeroed the scene that evidently Walt really made him think twice about The Searchers. The notion of, here is Martin Pauly protecting Natalie Wood from a John Wayne who's, at that moment, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right. So in this particular thing, like, John Wayne is xenophobic, right? Because Natalie Wood gets kidnapped by Native Americans, but then becomes one of them, right? Lives with them, and so Ethan thinks that that's an abomination, right? And is getting ready to shoot her, and Martin comes to her defense. Right? I think it's a great film, but that particular moment is John Wayne's character is problematic.
No. And again, right to the very end of that film. In fact, the end shot of that movie.
The end shot of that film is just amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, anyway.
Okay. Another issue, they had a handshake deal in regard to the merchandising money for Davy Crockett. And basically it was anything that had Fess's likeness on, he would get 10% of, whatever the toy sale was. And so Disney wasn't necessarily ready for what happened with the Davy Crockett phenomenon, coupled with the fact that they found out after the fact that because Davy Crockett was a public figure from American history, it was kind of hard to copyright him. And it was only very late in the game that Disney realized, now, wait a minute, if we copyright this stuff as Walt Disney's Davy Crockett, now we can put that on sales, and now we can, toys, and now we can put...
So really, you can do that. You can say Walt Disney's Davy Crockett.
And that suddenly becomes a very specific thing.
So I could say Len Testa's Walt Disney.
Yes, but on the other hand, you then get in that situation where which set of attorneys has deeper pockets and how long can you bleed the other side?
Yeah, so my sense is that this is not argued from some sort of legal precedent, but who's got the most money to argue? Okay, fair enough. The estate of Davy Crockett was probably not going to fight this too much, right? 100 years later.
There you go. All right. So by the time they get this sorted out and they get the official Walt Disney Davy Crockett merch out there, the phenomenon's pretty much passed. And so Fess never gets the large check that he was expected. Now, mind you, he's being paid $500 a week at this point by, Walt Disney himself. And that's a lot of money for a working actor in the 50s. But at the same time, he's looking at, the Disney company making millions and I'm getting my 500. So Walt sees that Fess is unhappy. But they have a 7-year contract, but Walt just look, I don't want you unhappy. You don't want to be here. Let's just part ways. So he lets him out of his 7-year contract, and Fess gets picked up by Paramount and goes over there and works for a number of years. Fess is still grateful to Walt. I mean, he got to see the world. At the height of the Davy Crockett phenomenon, he and Buddy Ebsen get on a plane and go to 42 cities around the world, 13 different countries, meet thousands of people, and it's a life-changing experience.
Let me just say that if Adventures by Disney offered a adventure with Buddy Ebsen to 40 different cities and 13, I would literally be the first ever Disney Adventures by Disney I signed up for. I would take Betty White as well, by the way, if Buddy Ebsen's not available.
Even better. Okay. ABC still wants some sort of a Fess Parker-y show. In fact, when Fess is away from Disney, they actually go to him and they get a TV show set up. 1962 television series, and they actually do an update of Frank Capra's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, the Jimmy Stewart movie. Doesn't quite work out. It turns out America really doesn't care for Fess Parker in modern day suits. They like the buckskin.
He's typecast.
Right. And so the show gets canceled after one season, and Fess is kind of at 6s and 7s at this point. Paramount has let him go. ABC has let him go. And so while he's trying to figure out what to do next with his career, he accepts a role in a touring company of Rodgers and Hammerstein's cowboy musical, Oklahoma. So Fess is doing what he's been taught, to the effect of, okay, the show's over. You go out and stand in the alley. You sign autographs. And
it's a tradition, right?
Yeah.
It's a theater tradition. Yeah.
Okay. So it's 1963. And every night after the show, there's dozens upon dozens of people behind the show. And they have their Davy Crockett stuff and he's signing stuff. But one week he comes out and instead of dozens, there are hundreds. And then it's like, ooh, what's going on?
Oh, because they remember him from the TV series.
Better yet, at this point, Walt has moved his weekly television series over from ABC to NBC. The Wonderful World of Color debuted on NBC in 61. And in 1963, for the first time ever, they reran the Davy Crockett television episode.
Reruns. So television existed commercially for how many years before reruns were invented? Less than 10?
Yeah.
All right.
And suddenly, hundreds of people. And then the week after that, when the next episode is there's hundreds more.
Oh, not only that, because if they watched it as kids in 57, they're older now, right? They're young adults, and they're like, oh, I can go up by myself and I can see this guy.
Remember that Disney wasn't ready with the first time around, but this time they knew. We've scheduled the Davy Crockett episodes to air on NBC on these weeks. Yeah. And so months ahead of time, they prepped the merch, again, that Walt Disney's Davy Crockett merch, and it hit at the exact same time, and it wasn't the huge phenomenon that it was back in 54, 55, but it was sizable. And Fess was very pleased one day to see a check show up in the mail, and this time around they were ready, and he got his 10% of the...
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Walt was an honorable guy. Now, Walt re-enters the picture at this point because NBC is looking at the ratings that the Davy Crockett episodes got. And so they go to Walt and go, look, I just want to float an idea here. Have you thought about the further adventures of Davy Crockett? We could do this in color. We've talked with Fess. He's kind of likes the idea. And Walt, at this point, because The Wonderful World of Disney is the top-rated series on NBC at that point, Walt's able to go, well, my company owns 5 episodes of Davy Crockett, which we know from just the recent merchandise sales are very popular. And my concern is Fess just did a television show, just did that Mr. Smith thing that got canceled after a season. And if we do a season of Davy Crockett, and it doesn't work, you're actually damaging what I own. So I'm going to respectfully
you could burn it out. This is what they did with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right?
Yep.
I mean, they ran it to death.
Mm-hmm. And they killed the golden goose. But on the other hand, NBC takes a step back and we still want to do this thing with Fess. But Walt said no. And it's like, but there were other American heroes that wore buckskin and coonskin caps. Which brings us to Daniel Boone. In the very last season of Walt Disney Presents over on ABC, the season that ran from 1960 to 1961, Disney actually did 4 episodes of a Daniel Boone series.
Really?
Yep. The actor who played Daniel on the Disney show, Dewey Martin, was a good, close personal friend of Fess Parker's. They did 4 episodes that didn't entirely work, but they then go to Walt and said, well, look, out of respect for you, because you set this term, we won't do David Crockett, but would you be okay with Daniel Boone? And Walt was, it's like, I still like Fess and I still want to work with the guys at NBC. So sure, do your Daniel Boone show.
How about Sam Houston? Is Sam Houston close enough?
But at this point, NBC and Fess actually go to Disney and go, well, do you want in? And do you want to be part of the show? And it's like, well, Walt's looking at, you got to think, they're prepping this to launch in the 64, 65 television season.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're getting kind of close to, the Disneyland's already ramped up.
Oh,
but you're getting close to the World's Fair.
World's Fair, you're in the middle of the land search for Walt Disney World. August of that year, you have the debut of Mary Poppins. This is a Walt Disney company that just doesn't have the bandwidth. And it's just sort of like, no, you guys go do that. And who do they turn to? 20th Century Fox Television. All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. So
this is called foreshadowing.
Yes. With the $71.3 billion acquisition of all those Fox television assets, Disney, in theory, does now own Daniel Boone. And there are 6 years of episodes, 162 color episodes of Daniel Boone.
Are there really 162 episodes?
162 episodes. It was a hit right out of the box. Though I have to tell you the story of the affiliate party. It's like the series launches in September, so it's late August, early September, and they float all the affiliates out. NBC's, got everybody at a party, and this is where you meet the stars, you meet the producers, you eat a steak, you knock back a beverage, and Fess is there glad handing the affiliates, and he feels, somebody tap on the shoulder, and he turns around and it's Walt.
Oh.
And Walt literally sticks out his hands and says, hey, Fess, I just want to wish you, the best of luck on your new series. And it's just one of these things where he said, and he teared up because in a weird sort of way, this is the guy who gave me my career, and I sort of think of him as a father figure. And he's gone out of his way to be decent about this and to allow this to happen. And so he's, well, thank you, Walt. And is Lily in here? So, she's right over here. And they go, you go over and says hello to Mrs. Disney and that sort of thing. And again, it's a hit out of the box. But because, again, he had been paying attention, This time around, Fess has made sure that, all right, so all of that Daniel Boone 20th Century Fox merch, the labels on the thing. More to the point, he owns 33% of the show.
Really? He owned a third of the show?
So he owned a third of the show, and he made millions from the very first day.
His great-grandkids are probably living off that.
How many of us get a second chance? He had his Davy Crockett thing happen and then had a couple of fallow years, and here was Daniel Boone who's going to take advantage of every opportunity that's sent to him. And so he's looking at not just the Walt Disney, the brilliance of the merchandising, but he's also looking at there's the Davy Crockett war canoes at those theme parks, and theme parks. That's something I should consider doing. So in the mid 1960s, he reaches out to your personal favorite, Len, Buzz Price, and he's like, okay, if I were to do an American history themed theme park, where should I build it? What should I do? And
so he had from his 1/3 cut of the show, he had enough money to consider building his own theme park.
Oh, not just considering building. He spent the money, Len. In March of 1968, he has spent $18 million on a 32-acre site in Boone County, Kentucky.
Hold on. I've been to Boone County, Kentucky.
Have you really?
And I've been there in the 21st century.
Okay.
And I think you could buy all of Boone County for $18 million, Jim. What?
It's at the junction of Interstate Highway 71 and 75. It's 20 miles south of Cincinnati. He put down 18 acres on a 13-acre parcel, also picked up options on 1,500 adjoining acres. That's where the hotels and the restaurants and that sort of thing would be. And Buzz wanted specifics. So they had planned an entire theme park called Frontier Worlds. This is how you enter the theme park. You park your car, you walk up to the entrance, and what's in front of you? It's a dock, and there, sitting at the dock, is a full-sized Mayflower.
Oh, the ship.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. It's supposed to be 1620. You climb inside the Mayflower after you bought your admission ticket. You have a quick simulated trip across the North Atlantic where the ship rocks back and forth during a storm. And when you step out of the other side of the Mayflower, it is the forest primeval in the New World, surrounded by giant trees and thick forests. But as you
you could see it. I mean, the transition, the entrance experience sort of writes itself. Okay.
Okay. But the main street of the park was going to be a recreation of the Pilgrim's Plymouth Colony. And then from there, it would split off into various areas of American history. Now, mind you, some of this is kind of wacky. There was going to be a Salem witch trials land. Where I swear to God, there was an attraction going to be called the Witch Trial Whirl Through. I don't know what that entailed, but
so we talked earlier about the character descriptions for the additions for the Galactic Starcruiser. Mm-hmm. Imagine one of those roles being strong actor, good with spells, gets burned at the stake every day at 3:00. Like what is the description of that job?
I don't know.
Must own asbestos. Yeah.
All right. But there was also going to be a Adventures of Huckleberry Finn themed land.
The beauty of this is it's most of the intellectual properties in the public domain at this point.
That's it exactly. But you're not even squinting. So the Rocky Mountain Pikes Peak ride, that's the Matterhorn. Okay. Or if you look at the Huck Finn area, it's like Showboat. Yeah, that's the Rivers of America.
All right.
But he put down his $18 million. He was ready to go. But ultimately what happened is that in this same window of time is when Kings Island is being proposed. And it literally became dueling projects. And in the end, the belief was that Kings Island is probably the smarter way to go. And, that opens in 72. But Fess doesn't give up on the idea. He turns to Buzz and says, okay, this didn't work here, but we have this great idea for a park. Where else could we build this? And Buzz is, California is prime theme park territory. Let me go look. And he comes back to Fess and says, I found an amazing chunk of land in Santa Clara, California.
Okay.
All right. And so 72, Kings Island opens up. And so they switch the other side of the country. Fess hires an architect to sort of retool the park at Frontiers World so it would play better to theme park fans in California. This catches the attention of Ray Kroc, the owner of McDonald's. And for one crazy 6-month-long period, Ray Kroc is not just in, he's fully in. He's like, I will pay for this damn thing. And so, suddenly they have 425 acres in Santa Clara, California. They've got Ray Kroc's money. The world kind of loses its mind. And then, as happened with Ray, his enthusiasm faded. There was another bright, shiny object that caught his attention. But Parker was a smart enough guy, as was Buzz Price, to know that the Marriott Corporation was eyeballing getting into theme parks at this point. So it's just they pivoted away from Ray Kroc and waved Marriott in. And Marriott was on board from that point forward. But Marriott was hesitant about the American history theme. They were worried that it sounded a little too educational. It sounded brandy. And face it, family entertainment think more cupcakes and cookies. We don't need brand. Education, right. Education is something kids do during the week. We want them to come here on the weekends. So in the end, they begin sort of sniping at the theming, at the stories, at the themes, and which is how Frontier Worlds even loses its original name and becomes Marriott's Great America. But at this point, this is the second time he's tried to get this park going, and here's Marriott just hitting him with more and more demands and more changes.
Yeah. He's also, 15, 16 years older, right? He's like, I got the money. What am I doing this for?
That's it, exactly. So he literally turns to, in June of 73, he turns to Marriott and says, look, this is not the park that I set out to build. So tell you what, I will sell you the land. I'll sell you my interest in the property. Marriott goes, absolutely. Here's a giant chunk of money. He walks away, and this is where he decides, I'm going to go in the exact opposite direction. This is where he you've heard no doubt about the Crockett Vineyards and, that sort of stuff that he did later in life. Yeah. This is the money that made that possible. And on the other hand, the Marriott Great America, that opens in May of 76. Meanwhile, another theme park in California, a certain place called Disneyland, begins to sort of look at history and lean into it a little bit, which will finally, on the next show, get back to the Zorro part of this story.
And Rancho del Zocalo too, right?
And there we go.
Every time we talk about it, I think I need burritos from Disneyland.
I definitely need burritos. And frankly, this wasp here looks tired of the applesauce.
So you've got something else?
There we go. A little guacamole.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for the Disney Dish show today. Please head on over to disneydish.bandcamp.com, where you'll find exclusive shows never before heard on iTunes, including our complete 15, 16, 17 part series from Joseph Mankiewicz on ideas Disney had for Epcot way back in the 1970s. You can find more of Jim at jimhillmedia.com and more of me, Len, at touringplans.com. And next week's show, Zorro in the Parks. We're produced fabulously by Aaron Adams, who'll be recounting the story of how Warren Freckles Brown became the first rodeo rider to last 8 seconds on the legendary bull Tornado at the Chicagoland Barbecue Boots and Bourbon Fest on Saturday, June 5th at the Afterlife Music Hall in beautiful downtown Lombard, Illinois. While Aaron's doing that, please go onto iTunes and rate our show and tell us what you'd like to hear next. For Jim, this is Len. We'll see you on the next show.